the first podcast for Rampage Open. I think we'll be doing these probably every couple of weeks or so. I'm with Kardi
Hello.
and BLT.
How's it going?
So today we're just gonna talk about some of the open teams that we know, like of people that we know. Since the games haven't started yet, they start this weekend on Friday. And then maybe preview the game that's going to be streamed. And then if anyone has predictions of teams or people they know already, we can do that as well for some of the games. I'm just going to put this in the Risen unofficial streams if you guys want to start talking. Page open.
Go ahead, buddy.
All right, so this week the streamed game that is going to be coming up is against Obsidian Horizon and 200 Thieves, which I think is going to be a fairly interesting one. I only see probably I think one player in here who I've seen play in previous seasons, which is Brickburner. Um,
I know
but
Brickburner,
these
yeah.
seem to be decent teams as far as comparing rank wise, but so I'm pretty interested to see how a lot of these teams are going to do. There's a lot of new faces this season.
Oh, wait, yeah, because Obsidian also has Good Hit, who used to play in Dominate. Like, this guy, do you guys know Good Hit at all?
I don't know Good Hit at all.
Good Hit's the. Okay, wait, I'm pretty sure Good Hit. Is Good Hit he's the Garen player? Is he?
I'm
Let
disappointed
me
in
see
him
this. Let
already.
me see this. Maybe. Okay, Good Hit's just a very cheesy. Yeah, he is. Good Hit's just a very cheesy top laner. Like, he will take Ignite and he'll just kill the enemy laner. I can't believe he's in Rampage. I didn't know that he ended gold last season. I think he's just. I don't know. I think he's kind of just gonna smash. If he doesn't smash a lot of these Rampage, like top laners, I'm gonna be really surprised. Just because he was smashing people in Dom Open when he was in a couple of seasons ago. So
Well, like,
I'm interested to see how he does this season.
the first top six. So teams 1 through 6 all have gold 1, gold 2 top laners, and then it just gets
Yeah.
worse from there.
Oh
So I'd
yeah.
assume that those teams will give them the biggest trouble.
Do we
Yeah,
have any? Do we have any thoughts about like rank wise? Like, are there any lanes where it's like really
Where it's doomed.
where it's like Doom, or there's like really high ones and really low ones, or you're just kind of like if you have a low ranked lane, you're kind of just doomed in that lane.
I feel like you're kind of doomed.
I feel like 200 Thieves might have a little bit of a struggle in the top lane. Their top laner is Silver 2
Mhm.
versus a Gold 1. And I
Mhm.
mean, granted, yeah, he can still win, but when you have a player who likes to play cheese top laners who makes people hate top lane,
Let's see what
can
Soccer Man
get in your
plays.
head a little bit.
All right, Soccer Man. He plays Scion and Shen. He plays tanks.
Okay, so it's not that
So like
bad.
it's not terrible if you can play tanks and not die. That's not like the worst for your team if you can just kind of give up farm and chill top lane.
I think all top laners should just become Gnosis mains, but that's my opinion.
Oh no, let's see. I don't think I saw Nasus. I saw Mundo. Let's see what other. Looking through the ranks. Jungle seems pretty. Actually, jungle seems like it's probably the closest in terms of ranks. There's no.
For the most part, jungle I feel like is probably one of the most balanced.
Yeah, there's like no. I don't see any silver fours in here.
I feel like
Yeah,
mid
jungle
is
too.
also very varied because you have some. Whenever you actually go into their op.ggs and look at their ranks, you have some bronze 2, bronze 1 mid laners,
Okay.
and then you have some that are gold 1, and so I think those will be kind of interesting to see whenever they get paired together.
What about the bot lane, Cardi? How important is rank bot lane in Rampage?
I feel like you need a decent ADC, or you're just gonna troll. It's kind of like last season when like Yoda GG got ADC for a Rampage Open team, and he just was uncomfortable with it, and he'd always be a frontliner as an ADC.
Oh, I see.
So then
Yeah.
the damage is obviously taken away as soon as the fight starts, and it kind of throws the team fight. So I think as long as people like understand that they need to just sit behind their front line and position correctly, then they should be fine, even if they're outranked.
I think the age-old question of Risen is, does your top and support rank matter? Do you think support rank matters in Rampage Open or in Dominate Open? I feel like people always say like top and support rank. If that can be your lowest on your team, that's amazing. But I don't know. Do you agree with that? That
With top lane, yes, because I feel like you can just put them on a tank, and even if they get behind, obviously they're still a tank. But with support, I feel like the people who actually like speak like for the team and kind of like call out what to do and have like actual game knowledge can lead teams to better decision making, which I would like. But I mean, that doesn't go toward your rank. Like you could be good when it comes to like knowledge of the game and like bad when it comes to mechanics. So I mean, you just have to kind of hope that somebody has some sort of brain when they get put on your team.
Yeah, and actually support looks pretty even too. Um, there's not a ton of low, like there's not like silver fours in here or anything. So it seems like support and jungle might be the most even in terms of ranks for Rampage Open. And top and mid are kind of like could be volatile for a team if they have a lower ranked player in one of those positions.
I feel there's going to be a lot of focus on the top and mid lanes from the junglers because the very wide variance in ranks between each individual player.
Is that usually so in Rampage? Is it usually more focused on solo lanes? I never played a Rampage Open or Risen. I did in Ascension, like in their Silver Bronze League, but like in Rampage, do junglers tend to focus on the solo lanes more than bot lane?
Well, whenever I played season 4 in the Rampage Open, and I would probably get my level 3 gank, and then I wouldn't see my jungler the rest of the game until it was time to team fight. Other than that, he would just kind of focus on the mid lane and help bot lane whenever he could, and then focus on objectives. But for the most part, whenever I played either Maokai, Gnosis, or Renekton, so I either just kind of farmed and got tanky, or I just steamrolled my lane because, well, that's what you do with Renekton. And then Maokai, you just throw those stuns and snares and just be useful.
Have you noticed, Kardi, if I don't know if in Rampage does it just depend on the team?
I mean, I've never played a Rampage Open, and I don't really like watch those streams, but for pre-made, you basically just play to your strongest player. So if that's your mid laner, you'll see the jungle mid lane most of the game. If it's your ADC, you'll see the jungler a lot, like in the bot half of the map, even invading just to be able to stay in between bot and mid. So I would assume with Rampage Open that they would do the same thing.
Yeah, and that would make sense since it's a bunch of strangers, so playing to your strongest player when you have never played before probably is your best bet in winning, unless you just have amazing synergy from the start, which some teams do. Some teams in Open do have really good synergy from the start, um, which is always fun to watch.
From my experience in the Rampage Open, you try to focus around that strongest solo laner, and then the other lane that you focus on is just tends to be the one you have the most synergy with. At least earlier in the season. Of course, as you develop synergy as a team later in the season, it gets to be a bit more balanced.
Are there any other teams on here we're excited to watch? I'm excited to watch Cloud10 just because it's Cloud10. It's got Spanish teacher.
Cloud10. Oh.
The old school. Wait, they won season 1? Let me see. When did they win?
Yeah, season
Season
1.
1. Yeah, Cloud10's old school. This is like this is older than SSG, the oldest old school of teams in Risen. And Spanish teacher's fun to watch, though he is top. Is he usually top?
Yeah.
Isn't he a mid
No,
laner?
he's support.
Oh, he's a
No.
support. Yeah, he's a support.
Yeah, because he went and subbed in against me in the BOL finals, and he kind of just like trolled the series away. So I
Was
don't
he
know
top
like
lane or
if
was
he's
he?
just giving up on support or if he's just
Oh,
trying to learn something new. But
so he was
I don't
playing
know.
support in that.
Seems like a good change.
Oh, he's been practicing solo queue, which is good.
Yeah. I'm excited to see if he has anything new.
Who else is in here that we recognize? Hebrew
I'm
Hammer.
Hebrew Hammer, poor guy who's never gonna win Rampage Open.
Is
Or
Hebrew
Dad
pre-made.
mode.
is Hebrew usually a mid laner? I thought he.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but has he played jungle before in Open? Or am I thinking of someone else?
No.
Oh, okay.
Ever since I've played against him, he's always been a mid laner.
I must be thinking of someone else. Yeah, I'm always excited to watch Hebrew Hammer play. I don't know anyone else on his team. I think everyone else on that team is new.
Yeah, I don't recognize anyone on there. I'm also interested in watching Y Coordinate Gamers play personally. They have a pretty
Oh,
stacked
Timey.
roster,
God,
and then of course you got my boy Timey on there.
dude, Timey's a good jungler. I've played with Timey. He's a pretty good jungler.
I played with Timey too, and I like it.
Yeah.
And he carried my awful mid lane game.
He's a Kane player.
Yeah, he is a Kane player.
Kane Graves. Yeah,
How do
I
you have
like playing with Timey.
How do you have that much time to put that many ranked games in already?
I don't recognize anyone else on his team. Who else do we have? Oh, we have Soraka. Oh, and Shredderman. Wait, Shredderman is playing ADC. Okay. Because he's usually a support, I think, player. Or maybe he was just a support last season.
So then we have
Shredderman.
Link, who I recognize, who is in his second season as a top laner. He's had been an 80 carry main.
Where is
Whenever I
Lynx?
played against him in season 4, Team 22, Squidward's house.
Oh, that's a good name.
That's
I know Frank Tato sounds really familiar too. I don't know where I know him from though. Who else?
The only other person I know is Evil Gambit,
Dude,
who played on Icon, correct?
I like watching Evil. Wait, did he play on? Yeah, he played on Icon. I like
Last
watching Evil
season.
Gambit. He's fun to watch.
I guess he didn't agree with moving to Rampage. I don't know.
Oh, did he
Because
not?
Icon is playing in Rampage, so I
Yeah,
don't know
they
what's
are.
going on there.
I don't know. Evil Gambit's fun to watch in the top lane.
I heard he's toxic.
Maybe I don't know anything about him. I just think he's fun to watch because he plays stuff like Darius. A lot of top laners and dominate. At least in Risen, at least in dominate, play like tanks. So Rampage is sometimes more fun to watch top lane wise than dominate is.
Let's see. Other than that, there's only a few other names that I recognize. I recognize Dino and the infamous Jay.
Oh, Dino, yeah. Oh,
I've seen
Tilted
them
Trent.
play.
Oh, okay, Aki, Tilted Trent.
I'm a-
Oh wait, oh you.
yeah, that's me.
Wait, what? Okay, so talk about your team. How's it going?
Talk about my team. My
Yeah.
team is doing really well so far. Actually, we've hit it off really well, and we actually have really good synergy. This is my first season as moving to a jungler.
Okay.
Um, going out of the top lane and moving into the jungle. It's been a pretty nice change of pace as far as not just having to play tanks.
Are you gonna play Nasus jungle?
That's to be determined. That's to be determined.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is JT like the main voice so far from what you've experienced, or has it only been like a couple of interactions with everyone?
JT is probably our most vocal. He is probably the primary shot caller during laning phase, and then you have myself and our mid laner. But we all kind of take our little turns at shot calling, and for the most part, we agree on what we need to go next. But I'd say JT, especially once we move into team fighting, is the most vocal.
JT boy or JT?
JT boy.
Are these guys sign up together, or do they just happen to have JTs in their names?
They just happened. I
Okay.
think the only Trent and I signed up together because we played together in season 4 on FU.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then there is actually a little mess up on our roster. Memories Be Made is our 80 carry. Aki is actually our dedicated sub.
Oh, okay, I know Memories. I mean, I don't know him, but I have seen him typing sometimes in the Discord. Yeah.
And he was a jungler before this, I guess, and then he signed up for 80 carry this season.
All right.
And then we also have Star Heaven
Yeah, Star
on
Heaven.
our roster, who was also on FU in season 4. He was our jungler then. And so he works with me a lot on things I need to improve on in the jungle and pathing, priority, and things like that. But he's actually a bit more well rounded player than most people think. He's actually fairly decent on 80 carry, and he has a few mid laners he's pretty good with.
Are you guys sad that they got rid of role swaps? Because it seems like your team kind of plays a few different roles. Are you gonna?
Not super sad about it. For the most part, we're all actually very versatile, but we're also very strong in our lanes, and so we're all very confident in where we are.
All right. Have you guys
Um,
scrimmed at all or practiced together?
uh,
Seems
we've
like you practiced at least since you.
we've practiced quite a bit. We've run a bunch of flex and then some norms as well. We haven't got a chance to scrim yet. Still trying to get schedules lined up for everybody.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about uh the open leagues is just schedules. And some people will
Yeah,
say, "Oh, I didn't like my team didn't scrim at all, and we won." Like I think, wait, Silver, didn't you say that SPG didn't scrim like once? And then some teams really love scrimming in open, so kind of it just depends on.
What are scrims?
Yeah, what are scrims? My team actually scrimmed on Sunday, and I was like,
Yeah, I watched that.
this is I was like, this is serious for me. I never scrimmed on my other dog. I scrimmed like maybe twice for EOD, and then like I think I scrimmed once for the first team I was on.
whenever I was playing on FU, I think we scrimmed once before the season started, and then we scrimmed once towards the middle or end of the season against SOS. And but other than that, we never scrimmed, and we very rarely practiced as a 5-man. And I mean, we won the whole thing.
Yeah,
Exactly,
I feel like
dude.
I hear
That's
that
how
a
I
lot
feel.
about like open teams, is that you don't have to like practice a ton together because you're against other
Uh,
teams that have never played together before. So.
Right. And well, and I see, a lot of people are like, we can't practice this 5-man. We can't scrim as much as I would want to due to schedules. I
Mhm.
think a lot of it is just making the most of the time you do have to practice and scrim. You don't always have to practice as a 5-man.
Mhm. Y-
Having those subs definitely help, even if they're not super confident in those roles. Having a sub there who you at least have some synergy with
Yeah.
and can help work on the specific comps that you're wanting to work on is a huge help. I feel like it's just all about making the most of the time that you do have.
Do people in Rampage Pyramid even scrim a lot, Cardi? Like our team scrimming a ton, or is it just kind of are you just like showing up and then
My
like playing
team
norms?
does not scrim nor practice. We show up on game days. Other teams, I don't know. Other teams probably scrim. For me, it's like valuing what are we getting out if we like scrim a risen team. Like they know how like we play, what champions we play, and then they obviously can like put that against us in the season. So there's no point for us to scrim other teams. And then if they scrim us and like we beat them, then again like there was no like point in scrimming them.
Mhm.
So I think like the top teams don't typically scrim unless they're scrimming like higher tier teams from different leagues. But I would assume the lower tier or like mid tier kind of scrim each other from each like division.
That makes sense.
Whenever I was on FU, whenever we did scrim, which wasn't very often, we kind of had a rule. We didn't scrim from inside of our group.
Yeah, that's smart.
We tried to scrim the top teams in the other groups instead of inside ours, because those are the ones you also tend to not pay as much attention to until it's about playoffs time and you guys actually have to go against each other.
Hmm.
So it helps gives you that little bit of extra knowledge there. Plus, then you don't have to worry as much
Yeah,
during.
yeah, I agree. I think in the beginning of the season it's okay to maybe scrim once or twice people in your group, but once it gets towards the middle end, you probably should be scrimming teams that you're not going to be playing during the regular season.
Unless you know you're gonna win and you're trying to strike fear into their hearts.
Unless you just want to flex on them.
That's always a good time.
Sounds about right.
Who else? I also know I know Pocket Cookies from Ascension. I think I played against Pocket Cookies in Ascension.
Pocket Cookies was also in Dom Open last season. Yeah, I played
Oh,
against him.
he was, yeah, 'cause well, I think in Ascension he played ADC, I thought. I don't know, but I know this guy
All I
from
know is I
Ascension.
played against his Soraka. That's all I
Yeah,
remember.
he plays a lot of Soraka. That's all. That's about what I
Yikes.
know about him.
So we do also have
I was
tamed
gonna say we have FTD back.
here. Yeah, FTD's
Do you
back.
not like
Tamed is
FTD?
here.
I don't know. Uh, can we go back to halfway through Rampage last season? What happened?
Yeah.
Well, if we look at their roster this time, their roster is,
There's
I
only
think,
one person.
their
Like,
roster is actually kind of stacked as far as it all goes. I
Well,
mean, they
I think
have,
New Life wasn't he like a dedicated sub for M Premade or something? Or like
I don't know.
he was on FTD at some point, I think.
I don't know, I don't recognize the name, but
I just
But
remember Tamed because I got several messages after the game about him.
but I
that's,
I do agree that they have a, because I think Tamed is better than Silver 4.
yeah. I
And
mean, he was ranked bronze 2 the last time I looked, but he also has very few games
yeah,
right now.
he doesn't really play ranked that much, I don't think.
Same.
I haven't been playing a lot lately. I spammed a lot when the season came out and got myself up into Silver 2, and then I've just kind of sat there.
I spammed a lot when the season came out and got really sad about ranked. And it kind of made me not want to play ranked anymore.
I got to Silver 2 in not too long, and I had like a 63% win rate. And then I was just getting a bunch of autofills from the positional rankings once I got there,
I know, right?
who didn't care, so I just kind of quit playing ranked after that.
Yeah, that was my feeling as well. Just the positional ranking. Oh, Bisharp is here too. Wait, has Bisharp played in Risen
Wait, where's
before?
Bishar?
He's right here. I know him from other leagues.
Why is he bot lane? Hello?
What does he usually play? I forget.
Top. He's a
Top,
top laner.
yeah.
He's a
I-
top on my BOL Open team.
Has he played it? I don't think he's played in Risen before. Maybe I missed him. Because I know him from like other leagues, but I don't know him from Risen specifically.
I know
His
he
name looks
played.
familiar. I can't remember if I've laned against him, or just watched him play, but I know I've seen him around.
Oh, we've got Unbound too. This is another guy that is definitely better than his rank. He's not a Silver 4 ADC. I'll say that.
Is it Unbound or Outrage that gets into arguments with me? One sec.
That's probably outrage.
I'll say Outrage, I think it's in a
I
lot of
think
arguments.
I think Outrage gets into arguments with everyone, so I'm gonna guess it's him. But Unbound is another person that is definitely like really underranked for his skill.
One of my favorite parts about Rampage Open is watching the evolution of the players, especially the lower ranked players. Whenever I signed up in season 4, I was a hard stuck bronze 4 for like 4 seasons. And I only played Gnosis. That was it. That's the only champion I wanted to play. It was the only champion I had fun playing. And because it got banned out 90% of the time, I actually had to go and start playing some of the other people that I played before.
Yeah, the one trick's dilemma.
He's still there though. Those Gnosis skills have not left.
Yeah,
If you had to pick one team now, who would it be that wins it all?
oh, let's see.
I'm biased, so
Oh yeah,
I'm going.
BLT's gonna say his. Besides your, is there anyone else besides your team?
I'm gonna say YCG has the potential.
YCG.
Yeah, I think they have a real strong, balanced roster, and as long as they play around that, I think they'll do really well.
Let me see. What do you think, Kardi? I'm looking at.
I'm going Team 20 and Team 22 because they have the highest jungle mid ADC
I can
rank.
see that. Yeah, I mean, a good jungler is, or like a high rank good jungler is never a bad thing.
Yeah, because if you look at Team 20, you have G2 jungle, G3 mid, and G2 ADC, and it's basically the same thing for Team 22.
I'm
So
gonna
I just assume that.
I'm gonna go with my boy Good Hit. I believe in Good Hit, but he might rank out, so maybe I shouldn't go. I feel like Good Hit's gonna rank out pretty quickly.
That's
Maybe I
another
shouldn't
thing.
go
I
with Good
also
Hit.
feel like we have a few top laners in particular that are going to rank out fairly quickly in the season.
It's like that in Dominate too. There's already some teams I'm like, this person's probably gonna rank out really quickly, and their
Because,
team's
I
gonna
mean,
have to find someone else.
like if you look at
Yeah.
like Dark Side is gold 1 with 60 LP right now.
Let's see, Darkseid. I don't know this name.
So I feel like he'll be one of those that probably ranks out pretty quickly. And
Yeah.
he has just looking at his match history, he has a pretty mean Darius.
Okay, I'm now calling FTD the Make a Wish team.
Why?
Because it's Silver 4 and a Silver 3 that got paired with 2 Gold 2s and a Gold 1. It's the Make-A-Wish team.
Yeah, what if their jungler ranks out? I know it's
Oh,
gonna
that
be.
sucks for them.
I wanna.
Um,
Yeah, I'm interested to see how teams handle people ranking out.
he could. He just hit 30 games yesterday, and he's on his way into Gold 1. So it'll be
Who Darkseid
interesting.
is? Or oh no,
Burku,
Berk.
the jungler for FTD. So it'll be interesting to see if how quickly they rank out.
Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah. I want to say we could look at groups. Are there any groups that PLT that you think look really strong? I don't know if you've looked through them.
I've looked through them a bit. I feel like Group D is really strong. You actually have about 4 teams in there that are seem like on paper that are going to be very strong teams. I also think Group C is going to be another strong one from
Yeah,
what I've looked at so far.
I was gonna say Group C just from glancing.
And I feel like Group A and Group B will be fairly easily determined very early in the season who those top teams are going to be.
And then what is the so this stream game this week is 200. Okay, so it's Good Hits team versus 200 Thieves. Okay, they've been in Rampage before. Do you have any predictions on who might win? Or it could be based off of ranks or I mean we know some of these people, a couple of these people on both teams.
I'm going with Obsidian Horizon just because I played with 200 Thieves in the ARAM tourney and it just seemed like their communication was really bad.
That's fair.
Like
My,
saying like go in constantly and then nobody doing anything was a little yikes for me.
I also feel like Obsidian. If I'm just looking at ranks as far, and I'm mainly looking at solo lanes because having strong solo lanes that the jungler doesn't have to worry about and can focus his time on the lane that might not be having the best time, I feel like can make a huge impact in a game. So I feel like Obsidian Horizon is going to have an easier time there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Obsidian too. I think Good Hit's just gonna carry top lane probably. I mean, unless this guy is just really good at playing safe and farming, um, I think Good Hit will just run away with the top lane.
Yeah, that was me in the beginning of season 4. I just kind of farmed under turret all season.
Playing Nasus.
I think I only got to play him twice during the regular season, because I got to play him against YGB. Because my cousin is also a Nasus main in the top lane, and so we had to determine who the better Nasus was.
Oh, you played against your cousin?
I did, and
That's
I
funny.
smashed him.
Did you both get Nasus each game?
No, they were too scared of it after I got my quadra kill with him, and so they banned him away so that I couldn't take him away from my cousin, even though I said I was going to let him have him. They banned it away. They didn't trust his Gnosis, apparently.
Wasn't the top laner for Yoda get back Exalted Silva?
No, it was a Mista Pudding.
Oh,
Oh,
Mr. Pudding. I
okay.
know Mr. Pudding. He was I think he was on content last season. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he got a new job and changed his schedule all around. So he hasn't been available for Risen as of late.
So since we talked about some of the teams and groups, do you guys have any tips for new Rampage players? And any like it could be like getting along with your team. I don't know. In-game stuff. What what advice would you give to a new
Don't
Rampage player?
don't tilt. Don't tilt. This is Rampage. A lot of players will throw. If you tilt early,
It's
you're
true.
just pretty much guaranteeing you're gonna lose. It's a lot like solo queue. And play comfort picks. Comps in the meta is important to a degree, but in this elo, from my experience, playing what you're comfortable on is a lot more beneficial.
Yeah, I was gonna say play. I always just say it for Rampage, just play. Even for Dominate, a lot of the time, just play the stuff that you are comfortable on. Like that's your best bet instead of trying to
Pl-
do like weird comps or like trying to do comps that you don't know how to execute.
especially if you don't get the chance to practice a lot with your team.
Yeah.
Don't try and pull off the crazy global dive comps like Nocturne, Pantheon, and Galio.
Okay, that's fun to watch though. You could do that for a stream.
That
Do
is
that for a
that is
stream game,
awesome to
so we
watch.
so we can
Yes,
watch you do that.
yes, do it.
Entertainment. What about you,
But
Kardi? Any tips for the Rampage
Deflate your
players?
egos. You're all bad.
It's true.
Don't have an ego.
Even in Dominate,
Yeah,
you
it
gotta
counts for like every single amateur league. Just
yeah.
don't have an ego. You're all bad.
Don't have an ego. Practice and get better.
Kappa.
Trying to think of what else I would say to Rampage. Yeah, I think don't tilt is a good one because I mean you're right. Like people in both leagues, like people will throw. Like they'll throw like a 10k lead
Yeah.
for no reason.
Also, like ask for help too. Like you have plenty of resources to like players that are higher elo than yourself. You can always ask others for help.
Yeah, go into League Related, the Discord channel, and if you have questions, yeah, people are always willing to help. Or like look at op.gg's, like tell you what champs to try out.
I've personally, because like I said, whenever I started, I was hard stuck bronze. I asked for help. I talked a lot with Karaoke, Jim
Karaoke.
Cantor, and a lot of other players who were a bit higher up ranked on just things I personally needed to work on myself, and it did leaps and bounds for me. And my other big thing is communication with your team. I've played with a couple of subbed up for a couple teams who I sit there and I'm playing with them, and their comms are silent the entire game.
That's a problem on a lot of teams because people just they don't know how to talk. And like it's because like you play solo queue and you don't have to talk to your solo queue teammates. You're just by yourself or maybe with a duo. So I think people default to that because they're not used to talking to someone in a team environment and like telling them what they need or what they think
Exactly.
you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and the competitive environment is a lot different than solo queue. Than just comps and things like that. You're in comms. All 5 of you are in comms. Use that to your advantage.
I would also say for communication, if your team does something stupid or like makes a bad call, just like forget it and move on. You can talk about it after the game. But
Another thing,
harping on it during after the moment is just gonna distract people.
Make it worse.
And make it worse and distract people.
Another bit of advice I have: if you guys are going to commit to a call and someone on the team is making a bad call and they're going in, just all of you commit to it. Odds are it's going to be better for you than if you all commit than if only half of you commit and then half your team's wiped.
Totally agree. I think that's the same in solo queue too. Like honestly, in solo queue and in like leagues like this, it does make sense usually. Even if it's a dumb call and you're like, this is so dumb, just go with your team because a lot of the times it'll end up working out because the other team isn't good enough to like to know what you're doing is
capitalize
bad.
on those
Yeah.
mistakes. They might capitalize on it, but they're out of position, so you can capitalize on the fact that they're out of position, and it's just going to work a lot. That's what we did on FU. We all committed to calls that were made, even if they were bad calls, and 9 times out of 10 it worked for us.
Sobart also says have a plan after champ select ends is a good one. I agree.
I also have a plan and a backup plan going into champ select.
Yeah. Well, and after champ select's over, just talk about like who you want. I don't know talk about who you're gonna help, like what lanes, and then who you're kind of just gonna let farm, so everyone understands, how that's gonna go in laning phase. Like who's the jungler gonna help out and buy
pink wards,
guys, please ward.
I'm sending this out to every single mid laner on this list. Because every mid laner I have ever played with, it can be 33 minutes into the game and they have a vision score of 4.
And they're like, why am I dying? I keep getting ganked. It's like, because you don't ward. Just ward the pixel.
Kardi.
Is that Toddy? Okay, I was going to say, don't be like, okay, I'm sorry, Dawn, but don't be like Dawn, top lane, buy wards.
Don't be like Toddy.
And put them down. Put the pink wards down.
And also, don't forget to buy and upgrade boots before 25 minutes.
Yeah, also,
first ever stream series.
Also, upgrade your trinkets, please. Please, ADCs get blue trinkets. Don't keep your yellow trinket the whole game. And supports, if you don't have a sweeper, even and junglers at a certain point too. But yeah, like especially blue trinket. Please get blue trinkets. Don't keep your yellow trinket after laning phase. All right. Anything
I
else,
think that's about
guys?
it.
We're actually gonna do pre-made after this. If you can stick around if you want to, BLT, if you like know anyone from pre-made.
Yeah, I know a few teams.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna end this stream really quick so it'll be easier to get the VOD later on, and then I'll restart the stream in a few minutes. So stick around if you want to hear about pre-made. We're gonna talk about that in like 5 minutes. We'll be back on. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.